All right. Well, welcome everybody. I appreciate you taking the time and the energy to join us to learn about some 6 critical steps for seniors that they should be taking at this moment. My name is Amanda Ludwig. I am a college planning specialist for Education Quest Foundation. If you're not familiar with Education Quest Foundation, we are a private nonprofit organization whose sole goal is to help students access higher education. All of the services that we provide are completely free, and we're happy to help with a lot of these steps along the way that you're going to have to be taking as seniors. So these are the 6 different steps that we're going to be talking about today. Completing the FAFSA, the applications for college scholarships, communications with those colleges, watching for that verification, and comparing award letters. We hope that you take away something from each of these steps. At the end of this webinar, you'll also be sent a handout that will revise or revisit all the steps that we've talked about this evening. One of the first things you should be doing as a senior is completing your FAFSA. The FAFSA is located at studentaid.gov. And with the FAFSA, what you have to do is you do have to use your 2019 tax information in order to complete this. Before you're starting the FAFSA, you should know that the FAFSA is required for some scholarships, grants, work study, and loans. Now, not all scholarships are going to require your FAFSA to be done, but some scholarships like the Buffett, which we'll touch on tonight, are going to require that you finish the FAFSA. Grants, work study, and student loans are all determined by filling out that free application for federal student aid. The first step in doing a FAFSA is to create a federal student aid account. Both the student and the parent are each going to need an account. They do verify your email address and phone number during this process, and you need to remember the usernames and passwords. So we'd really encourage you to go ahead and write those things down, because you will be using them year after year, and it's kind of hard to remember something that you only use maybe once a year. These are dedicated to your social security numbers. So if you are a parent and you have previously filled out a FAFSA for one of your elder students, that FSA ID is still good to use with your younger student who's a senior right now. The 2021-22 FAFSA is currently open. The FAFSA opens each year on October 1st, and you do have to renew it yearly if you plan to use any federal aid. It's going to use 2019 tax information, and it's going to include your assets. They do exclude the value of your home and retirement accounts when looking into those assets, so please be aware of that. The whole financial aid process looks a little bit like this. You create a student aid account as well as a parent does. You complete the FAFSA, and then that's going to go to processing. Once it's been processed, it's going to be sent to all the colleges that you listed on the FAFSA. The FAFSA allows you to choose up to 10 colleges to send your information to. So if you have applied to 3 different schools, you should certainly plan to send your FAFSA to all 3 schools that you've applied to or plan to apply to. After this has been sent to the colleges, they may have some additional questions. This is called verification. Verification is a process where they ask you to provide some additional documentation to the school just to double check the things that you submitted on the FAFSA. Once that verification is done, you will receive what's called an award letter. An award letter is something that goes through A, B, and C, what kind of financial aid they're able to offer you and what the total cost of education for that school is. Sometimes families have some special considerations that they have to be taken into order. 2019 information and tax information may look completely different than your 2020 actual income coming in. If you've had something like a loss of employment or income, medical or dental expenses not covered by insurance, I would encourage you to first complete the FAFSA completely with your 2019 tax information. Then you're going to need to appeal to the college to ask for these special circumstances to be taken into account. They will then consider those circumstances, and if approved, they may change the numbers on your FAFSA based on that information. The next step is applying to college. You can prepare for admission by narrowing your college choices. We encourage you to have a dream school, a plan B school, a backup school, and then also understand that there are different types of admission. There's early admission, early decision, and then the regular rolling admission. Many times early admission and early decision deadlines have already passed. So most of you are going to be applying during regular or rolling admission. To apply for admission, we really recommend that you apply to at least 3 or 4 schools. Most will require that you complete an application fee, that you submit your high school transcripts, and that you also submit your ACT and SAT test scores. You may only have one of these tests to submit, or you may have multiple ones. Keep in mind that when you apply to the school and you submit your original ACT scores, if you do retake the ACT, they may take that into consideration for further scholarships if you do improve on your ACT score. Make sure that you look at educationquest.org for the application checklists and tutorials that we have featured. So we do have on our website some helpful links for students in finding college resources. We have virtual tour links set up for campuses in the state of Nebraska, college application tutorials, which are nice little videos that'll go through and let you know what kind of steps you need to take to get that application done, and then some COVID-19 information. You can find this information on eqf.org/college resources. Applying for scholarships. I really apologize for the technical difficulties with this, but applying for scholarship resources, essentially there is no one universal place that you can go to apply for scholarships, but you can seek out these different resources. One of them being your school counselor. Your school counselor is somebody who is going to be promoting different scholarships specifically for students at your school. They may do this via email, via their website, or they may even personally talk to you about opportunities. The other one is your college. Your college is going to have its own way of distributing their scholarship money. Some colleges tie in their scholarship application with the admissions application. And for other colleges, they're going to go ahead and have a separate scholarship application that you have to fill out. Please make sure you're watching deadlines with all these resources because deadlines are rolling. There is not one set deadline for all scholarships, and they may be due at different times, whether it be December 1st or February 1st. On Scholarship Quest, you will find that we have over 2,000 local and state scholarships available for you as a student. What you do at Scholarship Quest is you simply go to educationquest.org, fill out an application, and then the application will give you a username and password. You'll answer some questions about yourself, and then we'll give you down some narrowed down choices of scholarships that you could possibly be qualified. Please be checking into this database on a regular basis. It's important to know that because this database is only showing you the scholarships that are currently open or are soon to open. So it's always going to be changing. Private organization, this could be your church, it could be your Boy Scout club, it could be the VFW club in town, or maybe your employer. Any one of these things could be organizations that give out scholarships. Free internet sites are also available widely. Just make sure that you're never paying for any scholarship services, applications, or to use those sites. Some common scholarship criteria that are out there are these. So we've kind of narrowed down some of the things that we commonly see that scholarships are looking for. Each scholarship is going to have certain criteria that you have to meet in order to be qualified for applying for that scholarship. Please make sure that you meet all the criteria they list in order to apply for that scholarship. So you could get a scholarship because you're a first-generation student. Maybe you're the first person in your family to go to college. It could be because of your college choice or because you did a lot of community service. Not all scholarships are based on financial need or having the top grade in the class. The Susan Thompson Buffett is a scholarship that is open now and is very important to Nebraska students. It is a scholarship that is worth up to $54.50 per semester. Eligibility requirements do require you to fill out the FAFSA and have an expected family contribution of less than $10,000. That expected family contribution is calculated when you fill out the FAFSA. If you fill out the FAFSA completely and your EFC falls below 10,000, you should definitely be applying for the scholarship. Scholarship also requires you to have a GPA of at least actually a 2.0. So my slide is wrong. A 2.0 GPA on a scale of 4.0. And then this scholarship is only good for a Nebraska 2 or 4 year public college. So that would be the community colleges in Nebraska, the state college system, and the University of Nebraska system. Important dates to remember. Well, it opened up on November 1st, so it is live. You can go to buffettscholarships.org and start your application process now. It is due on February 1st, promptly at 5 p.m. We very much encourage you to not be a last one applying for your scholarship, because that scholarship site does get quite busy on that last day of application deadlines. They don't give out just one of these scholarships either. The fantastic thing about the Susan Thompson Buffett Scholarship is they give out somewhere around 1,000 scholarships every year. So there's a good chance that somebody you know, or maybe even you, could be a recipient of the Susan Buffett Thompson Scholarship. Education Quest has quite a few scholarships available as well. We have the Virtual College Fair Scholarship. You right now are attending our virtual college fair, but one of the ways that you could earn a scholarship is by visiting at least 3 college booths. When you visit 3 college booths, you're automatically enrolled for a drawing for a $500 scholarship. So it's a pretty easy way to not only get information about colleges that you're interested in, but also to be put into a drawing for $500. On our website, we have something called the Scavenger Hunt Scholarship. On Scholarship Quest, you will find this scholarship. It is worth, again, another $500. And all you have to do is simply go onto our website, answer a few questions, and then we will enter you in for another drawing. The other thing I want to make you aware of is on social media, we do a really good job of putting out information on a consistent basis for you to utilize as you're going through the college planning process. Part of following us on social media is also a little bit of a reward. We have something called the Get Social Scholarship. The Get Social Scholarship is, again, worth $500. And by solely following us on Facebook, Twitter, or Instagram, each time we get another 250 followers, we will post another Get Social Scholarship. So make sure to follow us on social media. Step number 4 involves communicating with colleges. It's important that you know how to communicate with your college. Are they communicating with you via email or through your student portal? It's also important for you to know as a student that these colleges are only communicating with you as the student. They are not sending communication to the parents. So make sure, students, that you're checking your email as frequently as possible and that you're checking your online student portal for those individual colleges. Once you've completed the FAFSA, you get something called a student aid report. This student aid report is sent to you via email and a link. It confirms that your FAFSA was processed and also gives your expected family contribution. This student aid report is something that the colleges are going to look at as well on their side to determine what kind of financial aid you're going to be eligible for. But also, the student aid report can be used on scholarships such as the Buffett. The Buffett scholarship is going to double check your EFC to make sure that it's below that $10,000 mark. So make sure that you are reading through that expected or that student aid report, and then it will also tell you if you're selected for verification. Step number 5, watch for verification. Colleges may request extra documentation in order to complete your FAFSA process. Only 1 in 3 students are selected for verification, and that documentation is going to help them do kind of a mini little audit on your FAFSA, making sure that you got the right numbers put into certain places. They may ask for a W-2 copy, a copy of your taxes, or it could be as simple as filling out a worksheet showing how many people are in your household size. Please, again, watch your student portal, email, and mail for these notifications, because the college will not move forward with your financial aid process until you've turned in these documents. Step number 6 is compare college award letters. Each college is going to outline their total cost of education when they are giving you your award letter. That cost of education is going to include your tuition and fees. That's how much it costs for you to be in school for that 1 year. The fees are going to cover things like Wi-Fi on campus, the library, the rec center, and other amenities that are available for you to use for free. Books and supplies. Each class that you're going to take is going to require you to have at least some books and supplies for that class. We encourage you to be economical with purchasing these. You can do that by renting books, doing ebooks, or even buying used books off the internet or through the campus bookstore. If you plan on living on campus, you will have to pay room and board. Room is obviously paying for that dorm room, and then board is paying for that meal plan that you're going to need for on-campus eating. The last one is an indirect cost. This one's called personal and transportation costs. Essentially, the college will let you use financial aid to cover up to all of these expenses, including personal and transportation costs. So you could use financial aid in order to pay for things like a parking permit on campus. Here are the numbers for what it looks like in the state of Nebraska. We've divvied out these into different areas, one being the 2-year community college, the 4-year public colleges, so that would be the state college system and the University of Nebraska system. 4-year private colleges like Nebraska Wesleyan and Midland and Hastings College. And then we have career schools as well in Nebraska. Things like cosmetology school, massage therapy school, a school for radiography, etc. You can see that there's a big difference in some of the costs of these colleges. Please just remember that this is just a sticker price. If you go to a car dealership, you don't necessarily pay the sticker price on the car, right? You want to find the best deal possible, and that comes down to scholarships. What kind of scholarships are being offered to you based on your ACT, GPA, an essay that you wrote, or leadership skills that you have, etc. This can oftentimes bring your total costs down significantly, depending on the school that you're applying to. But again, it takes work to make sure that you're finding out what scholarships are available. Books and supplies, they really range in amounts from $1,000 a year to $2,800. I will tell you that that $2,800 a year is more of for students who are doing things like automotive technician or welding. Some of those that are going to need toolkits, cosmetology school, for example, they're going to need more expensive supplies than say your average college student would at the University of Nebraska-Lincoln. Room and board ranges differently depending on what campus you're looking at staying at. But again, you need to look up how much colleges cost. How colleges award the financial aid is something that's really important for you to know. The cost of education is a total of that tuition fees, books, room and board, personal and transportation. What they're going to do is that they're going to subtract that expected family contribution, and then that's going to give you their financial need. And that is the amount that the college will try to award in financial aid. This is just a sample award letter. Here you can see this student is planning on attending a 4-year public college. Their total cost of attendance is $21,900. They've been granted some scholarships and grants through the institution, and have also been given the option to do work study. Now, work study is the option to work while you're on campus, so they're given the opportunity to earn up to $2,500 for that year. The student was also offered subsidized and unsubsidized loans, and overall had $12,300 in total aid. Left over, though, is some unmet need. That student is still going to have to come up with $9,600 in aid in order to fully complete and fully cover all of the cost of education. Hopefully this means that they have more scholarships coming in, but it could mean that the parents are going to take out some Parent Plus loans or some private loans in order to help meet the total cost of attendance. So we're kind of missing a graphic on this one, but you can imagine this is a picture of our webpage over here. On our webpage, we have a lot of different resources available to you. We have things like activities resume, which can really help out with students who are trying to list out everything they've been involved in while they've been in high school. We have things like a college planning timeline, which is going to be information on what you should be doing as a junior or a senior. I would really like to point you to our FAFSA tools though. Our FAFSA tools are something where we have step-by-step videos of how to do the FAFSA. So those tutorials are there for you to do when you're working on the FAFSA at 9 o'clock at night in your basement. And you don't necessarily have the ability to call us and ask us some questions. We also have all of our resources in Spanish. So if you prefer Spanish, we have those resources for you. And at our locations in Kearney, Lincoln, and Omaha, we do have bilingual college planning specialists that are here to help. Our offices, like I talked about, are in Omaha, Lincoln, and Kearney. We also have someone out in Scottsbluffs who's helping out with Western Nebraska. Please contact us at any time for any questions that you may have or to set up a virtual appointment. All of our appointments currently are virtual right now. We have some wonderful technologies that we're using so that we're able to share each other's screen and talk through the process of completing the FAFSA. And that is our 6 critical steps for completing the FAFSA. Don't know, TJ, if we've had any questions along the way.
Yeah, we have a couple right now. There's actually one that's a really good one. It says, what happens if you've completed the FAFSA and still haven't gotten the student aid report?
What you can do is that might have gone to your spam folder. So what I would do is I would encourage you to go back to studentaid.gov and go back to the section that says completing the FAFSA. There you can log back into the FAFSA and you can see a link to your student aid report. Typically the FAFSA will have processed your student aid report within 2 to 3 days. So you should have that on the website within that amount of time.
Okay, great. Please get the questions into the Q&A function. That is actually it right now. One of them says, I work with students who are residents of Nebraska but go to school in Iowa. I wasn't too sure what they were asking. So Jennifer Hammond, if there is a more elaborate question, please write it in the Q&A for us to answer. We'll give it a few more minutes here for any questions. I know one that we've been getting a lot of is everyone has to be a resident of Nebraska to receive the Education Quest scholarships.
Yes, that is true. You don't have to necessarily be a student in Nebraska in order to receive our services. So for Jennifer, if you do help students that go to school in Iowa, they can still utilize our services. However, the specific scholarships that we as Education Quest give out, they are specifically for Nebraska students.
Perfect. Yep. That's exactly what she was looking for. Great. Yeah, like I said, everyone, please get those questions in. This is the perfect time to have direct access to admissions with really good knowledge. Let me give it a few more minutes here, see if anything else pops up. Get rid of this. Okay. What if you are a guardian? Do you still use adults' income?
That's a great question. So in most cases, high school students are considered to be dependent students, but there are some cases which you can be considered independent and you're not using any adults information. One of those is a legal guardianship. If you as a senior in high school are in a legal guardianship that's gone through the court system, you do not have to use an adult's information on the FAFSA. Those other situations include being a ward of the court, an emancipated minor, homeless or unaccompanied youth, in a legal guardianship, or in foster care after the age of 13. So no, if you're in a legal guardianship, you do not need to use any adult's income.
Okay,
Great question.
Perfect. All right, so this will be the last chance to get any of those questions in. I know we have a couple more minutes before the session ends. So like I said, just get those questions in now while you can, while we're live. All right, here we go. We got a good one. What major opportunities for scholarships exist for students who are interested in playing for school band?
Well, you know what I would do is that would be contacting the college and seeing if there are any scholarships available for people in the band. The other thing I would do is that with some of the scholarships that we've promoted, the scholarship resources, such as the free internet sites that are out there, you may be able to specify that you're interested in things like band, and they may have some additional resources for you. But again, it's a hunting and pecking process. You really have to do your research in order to find scholarships that are specific for your interests.
All right, all right. We're starting to get a bunch of questions in, so I'm going to try to look at these to make sure that we got very relevant ones. What if your parents aren't contributing to your college payment?
Well, what that means is that it's good that you're clear about that from the get-go, that your parents aren't going to be contributing towards your college. It's also going to be very imperative that you apply for as many scholarships as you possibly can, because you are limited on the amount of total student loans that you can take out. In your first year of college, you can take out a total of $5,500 in federal student loans. So the combination of that and scholarships, hopefully you're going to be able to find enough to cover your costs. What I would also suggest is that sometimes people find it particularly helpful, if parents aren't contributing, to start at some places like a community college, where you have a lower cost to begin with and you can take some of those general education courses.
Right. We got time for one more here. Says, this is kind of a question on to be clear. Just to be clear, if you have lost income in 2020, but 2019 was normal, you should still mention that in the FAFSA so that they would know you don't have income or benefits going into 2021, correct?
Okay, so I understand where you're going with this. So that would be something like the special circumstances that we talked about. So what you should do is, if 2020 information is completely different, your income is looking completely different than 2019, you should first go ahead and fill out the FAFSA just like normal. Use your 2019 information, complete it all, and allow it to process. Then what your next step is let's say you have 2 colleges on your list that you sent your information to. You would go ahead and then call that schools, or each of those schools, financial aid departments, and tell them about your special circumstances. It could be something like, my dad was laid off in 2019 due to COVID, and our income no longer reflects currently what was in 2019. So please fill out the FAFSA correctly first, and then appeal directly to the colleges next second.
Great. I guess we got one more. We got time for one more. I'm a sophomore in Nebraska that is looking at engineering. I'm looking at graduating as a junior and starting a program at NECC. Would this have any effect on my student aid?
It would definitely mean that you're going to have to fill out student aid information sooner than your senior year. You're going to have to fill out the FAFSA during your junior year. And then you're also going to be looking for scholarships as a junior as well. Many of the scholarships will say that they're for high school seniors, but you should consider yourself in that situation a high school senior, since you do have enough credits to be considered a senior, even though you're graduating your junior year. Make sure that you're applying for any scholarships through Northeast Community College, and just go about your process like you were a senior.
All right, fantastic. That's gonna, for the questions that we are not, yep. If anyone has any more questions, they can call one of the offices tomorrow. And Amanda, if you could put the contact info slide up, please, for everybody.
Yeah, give me just a second here.
Yeah, take your time.
There you go.
Perfect. Yeah, so call any of the offices tomorrow, and those are going to be the best numbers to get a hold of anybody. Thank you so much for everyone. Thank you so much, Amanda, for the wonderful presentation.